Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Caitlin and I'm a third year business science student at the University of Cape Town. So I'm 21 now. I've written so many exams over the 21 years that I've been alive, and so I know that exam season is a very stressful time and can be very overwhelming. I'm going to share 6 tips with you on how I get through exam season and how I try to be most productive. Before we get into this video, I just wanted to remind you to please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so that you are aware of future videos that I upload, like this video, and also leave me a comment. My very first tip, and probably one of the more exciting tips I believe, is to make sure that you are making time for exercise. And this doesn't have to be any sort of strenuous exercise. It could be literally going for a 30-minute walk with your friends, with your dogs. But all I can say is that exercise is really good for getting your muscles moving, and endorphins are a real thing. I believe that when I don't exercise, I don't study my best. A little bit of exercise can be the difference between having a really positive day versus a very negative day and a day in the dumps. My second tip is to try and meal prep some meals, and I know this can be a little bit challenging sometimes, especially if you're still living at home, but in that case I would say try and meal prep some snacks and try and eat some more nutritious snacks. For example, instead of grabbing a chocolate bar, grab some fruit and a few pieces of chocolate, or grabbing a bowl of vegetables with some hummus. Something along those lines, something that will be a little bit more satiating and will also fill you up a little bit more. And on that note, I would also suggest getting yourself a bottle, for example like this one, where you can fill up your bottle with water during the day, making sure that you are keeping hydrated. And one of my favorite ways to do that is to get myself a flavored cordial of some sort and to pop a little bit of that in my water, which makes it a little bit easier to drink. My third tip that I want to share with you is to have a rough study plan, and I think it is really important to have something like this in order to have a visual representation of the subjects that you need to get through and the work that you need to get through on specific days. And I love to do this through having a board similar to this. So this is actually a board where you can write down for the week what you need to get done, but I also had something else that I used to love using, which was a whole month of days where I can write down for a whole month what I needed to get done. And I know during like finals or in school this worked really well, where my exams were split over a much longer period of time than they are at university. I also think it's important to stick to like 2 or 3 subjects a day maximum, just so you can focus on those subjects and get as much done for them as possible, rather than trying to cram in 6 or 7 subjects in one day. Something that I feel is very important and probably not spoken about enough, but during the exam time I know that it is important to get as many past papers and get through as much work, but sleep should be one of your top priorities. You don't want to be studying and then you're falling asleep at your desk. And I personally like to get a minimum of 8 hours a day if I can. And my favorite way to get into a sleep routine is to do something before bed that will help me get into a routine. For example, for me that could be reading my Bible, making a cup of tea. You could also have a shower to wind down, read a book, you could do some meditation or yoga, and it also trains your brain to know when it needs to work and when it needs to rest. Tip number 5 is more surrounding how I like to do specific studying. So for most of my subjects, I found that doing past papers, and as many past papers as I could, was the most rewarding and easiest way to grapple with the concepts. and so I would do as many past papers as I can. I tried to ask my friends from other schools for past papers. I went to an IB school, so I like to use the IB portal where I could get lots of past papers from that as well, and I would just do as much practice as possible because there's only like so many ways that they can ask you one concept. And if I got myself very familiar with that, I just found it was a really positive way to learn the work. And I also found that it was really important to do my past papers under exam conditions. So in a quiet area where no one could distract you, have all your pens and pencils and all the stationery that you need, have a bottle of water, and to time myself for the exact past paper, because then when I got into my exam hall and needed to write the paper, then it wasn't a foreign concept, it was familiar to me. My sixth and final exam tip for you is that it is important to do something that will fill up your cup, because exam season is very stressful and it can make you feel a little bit low, but it is important to counteract that with doing some fun things that will just fill up your soul and make you feel happier, which in turn will help you study better and hopefully do better in your exams. So for me, that was, well, exercise was one of those for me, but I also like to phone up my friends and ask them if they wanted to come and have dinner with me, watch a movie with me, just spend time with me. I also like to go for a walk, grab a coffee and go around my neighborhood and just like take my dogs for a walk. I also love to bake. You know, baking can be very therapeutic. I really believe that. It could also be listening to your favorite music and just zoning in on that, sitting in the sunshine. Hopefully it's shining for you. And maybe it's just like putting a song on in your room and dancing around and just letting go of all the emotions. It might look a little bit crazy, but honestly, who cares as long as it's making you feel better. So that's all the tips that I have for you today. I really hope that you are able to take one or more of these tips and implement it into this exam season. And unfortunately, if you're in school or university, you have to go through these seasons, but there are ways to counteract that. And so I really hope that these tips have helped you. Before I end off the video, just want to remind you again to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, to leave me a comment. Maybe you can tell me which tip is most useful for you, and also to like this video. And I will see you in my next video.